meeting to order on June 9th, 2020 at 7 p.m. Please call the roll.
Councilman Grigor.
Here.
Councilman Wojciechowski.
Here.
Councilman Coles.
Here.
Councilwoman Thomas.
Here.
Mayor Sherrill.
Here. Please rise for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get to the approval of the minutes, I just wanted to make an announcement that there will be a Community Unity Cookout on June 21st at 9th Street Park from 2 to 4 p.m. Our police department is working with some community members to make this happen, so there'll be food, a DJ, activities for kids and things. So I'll also try to share it on social media. So please, when you see that, share it. Did everyone have a chance to look at the minutes from May 12th? I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for the May 12th, 2020 meeting. Do I have a second? Second. Are there any questions, adjustments that need made on the minutes? Anything? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Wojciechowski.
Yes.
Councilman Coles.
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas.
Yes.
Councilman Grigor.
Aye.
Mayor Sherrill.
Aye. I'd like to ask Mr. Kareem Strawn of 470 Donner Avenue to come up to the podium and address council.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kareem Strawn. I'm asking for permission of the city of Monessen to sell my plants in front of my store. I bought the store on 470 Donner Avenue approximately in October, and I was in the process of trying to get everything together, getting the water on, getting the gas on, getting the electricity on. And with this pandemic thing going around, I couldn't even get the electricity on. So I decided that I wanted to maximize the summertime. I'm selling plants. I need to, be out in front of the building with my plants in order to sell them. Now, even if the building was open and I was doing business inside the building, I would have to have my plants in front of the building on the sidewalk, because when you're selling plants, your plants are your advertisement. I don't put out a sign that says plants. I put out plants, and people know that I have a plant store. So what I'm saying is I need to be able to put my plants in front. Now, according to this ordinance that what the city of Monessen has, that you guys don't want anything obstructing the sidewalk. The sidewalk in front of my building is 9 foot 4 inches. My display doesn't come 3 feet off of my building, leaving 6 feet of space for anybody to walk by. So I don't see why there should be a problem with me having my plants out there. And basically, I was given this permit without expiration date by guy Marvin Davis, who was the code enforcement officer. Now, I don't know about what's going on with him or whatever the case may be, but he gave me this permit, and I was under the impression that this permit was good for at least a year. This permit has no expiration date on it. Now, I went out and bought a whole bunch of merchandise predicated on the fact that I have permission to do what I was doing in front of my building. And then I was abruptly stopped from doing any business in front of my building, I believe it was Friday. And I'm just asking you guys to make a fair decision and let me continue doing my business. And I'll make sure everything is up to code as soon as I can get it done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I see your permit, sir?
Huh?
Could I see your permit?
I'm sure you can.
would council be interested in making a motion to approve his request at this time? The solicitor says that that would be fine if it's something council would like to entertain.
Absolutely.
Because you guys don't have a code enforcement officer at the present time, so there wouldn't be anybody to run it through, so council would be the appropriate body to approve that request. And obviously that request would be conditioned on you not obstructing the sidewalk, which doesn't sound like that's an issue. It's a wide sidewalk, and it doesn't sound like that's a problem at all, so.
This is just
council would
selling
be-
it.
I sell plants, I started selling Italian ice, but it's basically plants. I sell plants, and I've been selling face masks, just basically plants. My business is plants. That's my main business.
Yeah, I mean, I assume you have all the other permitting and licenses that you need.
I've been trying to get all this done. I haven't been able to get, I think this Berkheimer would run the licensing in Monessen. I haven't been able to get in contact with anybody in the building. This has been going on for months. I'm only, the business that I'm in is a seasonal business. I work in the summertime. I need to be able to do my business in the summertime. It's summertime now. So I'm just asking you guys to make a fair decision.
I make a motion that he be allowed to proceed as he has been.
Second that.
Any other discussion? Questions?
I'm just a little concerned about the selling of the Italian ice because you don't have a health permit, health license.
Okay.
Okay, that's what would concern me, especially in the heat of the day.
If that's a problem,
Well, it's not really a problem, it's just what I'm concerned with.
I can definitely get that. I mean, if it's something that needs an inspection or whatever the case may be, I'll handle that. I'll make sure everything is up the board.
So to clarify, this motion then is to approve him to use the sidewalk for the commercial purposes as he has been. Like I said, all your other permitting or licenses, you need to make sure you have that. But
Yes,
this
sir.
would be under the ordinance related to sidewalks for approval to use that to sell on the sidewalks themselves like you have been.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Call the roll. John? Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
And Mayor Sherrill?
Yes. So,
Thank you.
okay. I'd like to open the floor for public comment on agenda items only.
This is Ernie, telegraphist, 29 Rex, Monessen. I just got two general questions. One, it says motion to approve payment of invoices from general funds, $197,840. What invoices? It's not identified. If we're going to do transparency with, that's $200,000. So, like, what invoices are we talking about?
All right, you'll make some copies.
Because it doesn't have one.
We'll have make some copies.
Okay. And then, this one I don't understand. The repurposing of 2 police interceptor vehicles.
So two police cars were decommissioned by the chief since we got 2 new police cars from the grant, and they're instead of selling them, which we probably wouldn't get much for, and since they still have use out of them, just not as police vehicles, one of the vehicles will be used as a code enforcement officer's vehicle when we hire one, and the other one will be used as the fire chief's vehicle for calls to take liability off of the personal.
Yeah. So what's everyone's going to get a free car?
It'll be for fire purposes. so that there's no liability on his personal vehicle.
Okay, so what is happening with the old code enforcement vehicle?
That is also on the agenda. Where is it?
It's going to be sold. So,
Yeah, it's on the agenda somewhere.
It's letter E under
Yeah,
public safety.
last page, letter E. So we'll be selling it, the bid opening will be Friday, June 19th.
Okay, so there are two vehicles for sale, right? You got a pickup truck and the code enforcement.
No, that pickup truck is the code, the old code
Oh,
enforcement.
that is
Mhm,
it.
that
Oh, I
code.
thought the pickup truck was separate.
No, same one.
But that's just for a agenda item.
Anyone else?
My name is Catherine Pepper, I live on 287 Reed Avenue. They say agenda item, so I'm gonna just speak on Mr. Strong, is that your last name, sir?
Strong.
Strong. I've lived here since 2010, and I've been here for about 3 different councils, and I've never seen that ordinance enforced before. I've always seen things hanging out in front of dollar store, in front of that used furniture place, and a couple other places. It just seems funny to me, since a black man moved in, that all of a sudden you're gonna enforce the code. I mean, this is observation. I've been here since 2010, and there was never a problem with that. That all of a sudden, up pops the ordinance. And so another thing I observed, that a policeman had to be in the presence of our city administrator to talk to Mr. Strong. But when he went across the street to talk to the dollar store, I didn't see the policeman go in the door. I'm just making some observations to you. How come he didn't walk into the dollar store? That's what I want to know. And I guess I won't get any answers.
May I?
Yes.
When our code enforcement officer left, that left us in this situation where Mr. Harhai is not an enforcement officer. So we were somewhat at a stand. We didn't know exactly how to go about doing this. And the reason this was done was because we had multiple complaints from residents about not only Mr. Sean's property, but also about the dollar store. They had stuff out there. So Mr. Harhai wrote up a letter, and he sent it to both businesses. Now, the situation we are in is, he's not an enforcement officer. He can't enforce anything like that. So I called the solicitor and asked him for advice. The advice I received was, in the absence of a code enforcement officer, the police department becomes the enforcement agency. So he had to contact the police department to go down there. Now, he can go down and present the letter and all, but if there's any enforcement, it would fall on the police department. So that's why the police officer was there, in case there was an enforcement issue. Fortunately, there was not. But that's the only reason I was here. And I do believe I stated that correctly.
Yeah, and that's one reason why the city really needs to get a code enforcement officer to fill that position. Because if you don't have a code enforcement officer, the only person that's really authorized and can enforce it in court becomes your police department, and they have way too many other things that they need to do. So, you know, in the event that there was an observation of a violation or needed to confirm and be able to testify that in fact the notice was delivered, that's why the police at this point, without a code enforcement officer, would need to be involved in order to be able to enforce that later on. The situation with the Dollar General, I'm not familiar with that situation in particular, but with respect to the letter that was issued, that's why it was advisable to have a police officer present whenever, at this point, because there's no code enforcement officer.
I understand that part he can't enforce it, but the letter could have been presented to the young man without a call. Now then, if he ran across a problem, then he could have called the police. I see the difference, and I know plenty other people see the difference. But too long, we just overlook everything. And I've been in law enforcement. I haven't been in the streets, but I worked in jails for over 20 years. I knew all the police that came here. I knew a lot of the lingo. I knew a lot of the codes. I knew all of that because I hung around with officers. But one thing I couldn't take, I saw plenty of prejudiceness. And I think in a little town or city like this, we ought to be able to get along. Bigger cities, it's harder because they don't know each other. But we walk around, we see each other. Why does there have to be a difference? I see it every day. I talk about it to my friends. I don't say nothing. There's a difference here, like there is everywhere else. But I'm going to keep my eyes open, and I ask everybody in here, keep your eyes open.
We will.
And can I say something too? I was actually driving through town that day, and I was stopped by a fellow resident that actually took a video of that. And I felt bad for Mr. Strong. I've gone by his store every day. He's never in a passageway. He's very cordial to everyone, very decent and orderly in what he does. And I've lived here all my life, and not once has that ordinance been enforced to Dollar General, to the secondhand store down the street from his, not once to any of the other stores. But all of a sudden, Mr. Strong shows up, and we have to enforce this ordinance. And if I'm like anyone else, I see the difference too. And this is a time that we got to stop the differences, stop the difference between color, and treat everyone fairly. That's all anyone's asking. It was terrible, and I had people calling me up about what happened to Mr. Strong. I felt bad for him. He's trying to bring a decent business to Monessen, and we're trying to hinder him. We're trying to hinder him. I've never seen nothing like that before, and I felt bad that I was on city council and a part of Monessen because we have somebody coming into the city trying to make our city better, and we did him this way. That doesn't speak highly of us. When others are looking at us, what's that say about us? That we want to let people in who we want to let in, not who deserve to be in just like anyone else.
Excuse me, can I say something? Excuse me. My name is Tony Pollard, and I live on McMahon. When we had a code enforcement officer, I think it was last summer, last summer, I was going down the sidewalk from Boo's to the parking lot of Dollar General. I actually fell over the pole that was blocking the sidewalk. Thank God I wasn't really hurt. Somebody's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm fine." But then, whenever I was walking down the street from Douglas to Torn Page, I see Mr. Strong out there, and said hello, just kept on going. There was nothing blocking. He did have his plants out there and whatever else, but there was nothing blocking. But seeing that I could have gotten more injured walking on the side of Dollar General than I did where Mr. Strong was, and nothing was ever said about Dollar General. Nobody ever said, "Can you please remove that?" Maybe I should have reported it, but I'm thinking that's a business. They need to make money too, just like Mr. Strong. He's doing everything professionally, and apparently with this COVID, it stopped a lot of businesses doing what they needed to do. But he's never once said, "No, I'm not going to get an ordinance. No, I'm not going to do this. No, I'm not going to do that." He's complying. And to stop it or even approach him in a manner that it was was very unprofessional. And I think that he is due an apology. I honestly do. This is a man, he's not a child. Just like everyone in here. After what happened to you two want an apology. He's not asking for an apology, but he's due one for disrupting. Now he had to take a few weeks off, not selling his business because of a discrepancy. That's so wrong. We're grown. It's time to act grown and stop acting like children.
I'll say something to you, okay?
I have a question, Mr.
Oh,
Shaw.
go
Mr.
ahead.
Shaw, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
This, and I don't know about this, the ordinance and everything that's presented,
Yeah.
okay? Well, whenever you were issued, showed, okay? Prior to that happening, did anybody contact you about,
No.
I mean, to come see you?
I contacted Marvin. I contacted the code enforcement because I had a premonition that something would go wrong and I wanted to nip anything in the bud. He told me that if I wanted a permit I told him that I wanted to be out there for the summer. He told me that if I wanted a permit for a day, it would be $50. If I wanted a permit for a week, it would be $100. If I wanted a permit for a month, it would be $200. If I wanted it for a year, it would be $500. I told him I wanted it for the year because I'm going to be out there all summer. It doesn't make no sense to pay for 3 or 4 months. It's going to cost more. I need it for the year. So Marvin said, okay, I'm going to call my boss, see what we can do, and I'll call you back. Cool. Marvin called me back about an hour later. He spoke to whoever. I don't think it was John. I don't know who he spoke to. But he told me, he says, listen, my boss has given me carte blanche to do whatever I want to do. And being how he's done that, he never does that. So I'm going to give you the permit. You don't have to pay me anything. And that was the conversation I had with Marvin. He came by, he gave me the permit. That Sunday when I opened up, and everything was fine until the day when John showed.
Right, but I mean, after you got your permit, which is when you showed Mr. Brecker that you looked at, am I correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
well,
Right, it's the one you have, right?
yeah.
Okay,
This one is.
right. You haven't heard anything from anybody about anything?
No, nothing from nobody until the day John showed up in front of me. That
So
was it.
my question to council is then, why did we not just respectfully just approach him and have somebody go up to his business and say, hey, look, you know, are you aware of this, or did you apply for anything, or do you know what's going on, before we had to take this action? Like, there was a lack of communication there.
Obviously.
I mean, I hope we don't do that with all the rest of the businesses in town. We don't have any businesses in town. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're actually saying what I was gonna say, so
Go ahead.
No, I mean,
No, go ahead.
were you looking for an answer? Because I was.
I'll let
looking
them
for an
answer you if you're gonna answer.
No,
something.
I'll wait for your answer first, because I want to hear that too. Sorry, go ahead.
You said he told you that he got carte blanche from his boss?
That's what he told me. That was his exact word.
I was his boss. I never heard this.
Well, that's something
And
you
I'm
can
not,
take up
I'm
with
not
Marvin.
saying anything, but this is the first I've ever heard that
That's
he was
something
granted
you can
carte
take up
blanche.
with Marvin.
I'm not gonna,
Honestly, he told me that it was, you know, I told him that I wanted it for a year, and then when somebody called him, I think it was, Ms. Thomas called him on the phone, he got on the phone and told her that it was for a day, like he didn't even back me up, like he didn't know what I was talking about. So, honestly, you take that up with Marvin, I don't know what's going on.
well, Marvin's no longer with us, so
Well,
it'd be
that's probably a
difficult to
good
pick it
thing.
up with him. But that's the first I heard about $500 for a year or anything else like that, sir.
Is that dated? Joe?
Permit?
No, I mean, I know we would say like next price, but when it was issued, was there a date on it?
Permit is issued
Oh,
on
it's
May
right,
10th.
the last couple of days.
The permit was issued on May 10th.
Yeah, that's the first I've heard of that. If I had given him carte blanche, you would not have been bothered.
I've never met you, sir. I've never talked to you. The person who I talked to, I thought Marvin talked to, was named Frank. And his extension is number 100 in this building. I have no idea who that is.
My name's Don.
Okay, all right,
And
the
so-
person.
And I'm actually his boss, or was his boss. And I apologize for the miscommunication that obviously went on here. But you know, when we get the complaints from the public, and we acted on both parties that we were getting complaints about, I'm glad that lady told us, ma'am, glad you told us about tripping over the stuff there on the sidewalk there. That's always been an issue, and nothing was done in the last few years until this year. And then we just moved to address it because we had so many complaints.
I understand that y'all have to protect the city and everything. Like I said, my display doesn't come no more than 3 feet off of the building. So walking by my display shouldn't have a problem. Three people together should be able to walk on a 6-foot tag.
Well, you have permission from the council now, and again, I apologize for whatever you were told, communication problem, because this is the first I've heard of it.
All right, I understand. I appreciate your apology. And I accept it.
I really dislike when stuff like this happens, because that's our biggest problem in Monessen. We don't communicate enough.
Thank you.
Okay, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I heard you say that the police went in his business, but they didn't go in the one across the street?
They didn't go into the store. He was out on, sitting there by his plants, and they went up to him, and he didn't go across the street. The policeman didn't go across the street when John went across.
That's my question. If he needed an enforcer, why didn't he enforce at both locations? Why was it just needed for his location versus the business across the street? And I guess my question would be for you, because you were the one who were there.
Who was the
Sorry, am I
police
addressing the wrong person?
Who was the police officer that wanted to?
And we're,
Mr. Officer Megan?
I wanted him to answer, because were you just following
Because he was
orders?
across the street, all I did was follow through the building to see his permit, and we walked back out. We had a nice little conversation, correct?
Yes.
And that was dinner. John and himself, they both sat out there and they finished their conversation and left.
Okay, so
There
you were
was no
never,
enforcement, it was just in case there was enforcement, that's why I was there.
and so you just followed him to his business, but
I
you
didn't
didn't
follow
follow.
him to his business, I was already at his business. I
Right.
stayed in the car.
He just came inside so that I could show him this.
Right.
That's why he came inside the building.
Right.
That is it.
But you never told him to go to any of the businesses, he just did it on his own, was my question. You're not even answering me, it's like you're not acknowledging me, like I'm not here to.
Well,
And so thank you for your answer, I'm done. Thank you for your answer, sir.
Is there any other comments on agenda items? Okay. I issued a proclamation to Humane Action Pittsburgh in their support to oppose the indiscriminate killing of wildlife in the form of wildlife killing contests. It doesn't really pertain to Monessen specifically. It was basically a support letter. We talked about that last week. We have the treasurer and the controller are not here tonight, so I will read some highlights from the treasurer's report. So May current garbage $4,798.43. Delinquent garbage $9,808.07. Garbage from the Housing Authority quarterly $15,258.75. For a total for 2020 so far $637,800. Garbage collected for 2021. May year-to-date, $369.98. City real estate taxes current for May, $331,631.17. Year-to-date, $1,747,776.15. Total for 2020, $2,251,750. Total year-to-date for delinquent city taxes, $1,794. and set $1,794,717.27. The real estate tax distribution is as follows: general fund, $1,155,696.70. Debt service, $398,516.10. Parks, $200,652.87, and library, $39,851.60, for a total of $1,794,717.27. Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion.
Or is there a second?
I'll second.
Any questions? Call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Thomas,
Yes.
Councilman Gray,
Yes.
Councilman Orchakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Coles,
Aye.
and Mayor Sherrill.
Yes. Treasurer's report has been approved. The controller's report for June 9th, 2020. Beginning bank balance as of May 1st, 2020, $989,612.49. Deposits, $594,844.16. Expenses, $688,517.55. Ending balance as of May 29th, 2020, $895,939.10. Outstanding checks, $51,456.50. Outstanding deposits, $8,337.17. The reconciled balance to the bank statement is $939,058.43.
Mayor, I have a question on that. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Does anybody know, or can anybody say, is there anything left in any Pliget accounts?
To my knowledge, we haven't touched anything in the Pliget account. I know the $94,000 at least it was the last. That's,
But what's in the other Pliget accounts?
that I'm not sure. John and Gil, no. For Pliget.
Pliget,
Yeah.
there's some line usage money in there and some debt service.
Do you know how much?
$324,860 in the debt service, and we gave $384,000 for the year, so we only have $60,000 more. There's $45,000 Pliget in the line usage, and it totals about $125,000.
On. I'd like to make a motion to approve the repurposing of the 2 police interceptor vehicles removed from service. I'd like to make a motion to approve the repurposing of the 2 police interceptor vehicles removed from service, one for the fire department and one for the code department. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Breaker,
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Coles,
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas,
Yes.
Mayor Sherrill.
Yes, motion carries. I'd like to make a motion for the sanitation of the police vehicles by Ford Motor Company at no charge to the municipality. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions?
Just a question, Mayor. When we talked about this last week, there was information that you requested to find out how annually it needed to be done, how it was going to be done, would the officer control when it's going to be done so it didn't accidentally come on in the car when it's there, all these questions. They were supposed to have some, I expected some type of answers.
Yes, I do not have those answers at this time, but I can get them for you.
Then we should hopefully table this until we have the answers. So we're fully informed. I mean, it's not like this needs to be done tomorrow.
No, but I don't see it.
My understanding of it, Councilman, is that it has to be done every shift and it's done by the officer. That's what my understanding is.
So that was the question. Was this just a once a month, every shift?
They could be done every,
Yeah, I don't think it necessarily means it has to be done.
yeah, it doesn't have to be done, but it can be done at will by the officer.
So that brings the question up then, is this going to be a routine that is going to be part of the, keeping the car, you know, maintained, clean, things of that nature? Is this a routine that's going to be on a checklist for the officers to do every shift? Or is it going to follow just once a day shift? In other words, I have just some questions about that. I mean, the reason I'm not against it at all, the question I have is it something that takes, I mean, I don't think we even discussed how long it took either.
I mean, it said about 45 minutes, I think it was.
Yeah,
Is that it?
I think so.
I mean, is it going to be done at the beginning of the shift or end of the shift? Only for the reason is an officer gets in his car, he comes on the shift, he goes and does it, there's a call, he can't go anywhere.
Or is it going to be a rotation?
Yeah, I
Possibly?
mean, we need to
I
have.
believe they rotate.
Yeah, because
the vehicle.
possibly the 2 cars that they just previously had will not be used for the next 2 coming in. They can sanitize the 2 that were already out, and then,
Yeah, because it's only the new 2.
sounds like it should be a rotation.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
only the
I don't,
2
that's what I'm
units.
asking, I don't know.
There is a vehicle rotation.
Right.
So the cars that aren't being used can be sanitized.
Right.
And then the vehicles that were already not used will already sanitized for the next shift.
Definitely.
Okay, so there's always going to be something.
There's always a rotation.
Right.
Okay.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you, officer.
Call the roll, please.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles? Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes, motion passed. I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 2 of 2020, an ordinance of the council for the city of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, repealing ordinance number 1 of 2019 of the city of Monessen. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Questions?
As before, we just question that because it just holds each and every one of us accountable for our positions. That we come to our meetings as we were elected to do, and if we have a good excuse, then we're excused. But if it happens that we are not holding up to our position, then we should be fine. So I don't see anything wrong with that, to hold us accountable for our positions and our jobs.
I don't
You-
either, but the ordinance was not enforced. And as you said I don't remember if it was last month or last week, that the state legislature is taking this up, so it's become a moot point anyway.
So we're just gonna wait till they do it. Is that what you're saying? So you don't think we should be held accountable for anything?
I do,
So
but
then why
it
should
has
we?
not been enforced.
But why should we, if we got, why can't we, it wasn't forced, they did fine a few people. But I'm just saying, as a ordinance to hold us accountable for ourselves, I think we should have it. Because we should be held accountable. We shouldn't be able to do what we want to do, to not come to a meeting because we don't agree with one another. We should be held accountable. If there's a death, if you're sick, or you need to go away, that's fine. That's an excuse, a legal excuse. But because we just don't want to come, no, we should be held accountable.
Could I second that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
now who's paying controller
We,
and the treasurer?
we have a motion on the table.
We're talking about the motion.
Yeah, it's discussion with council.
Could I make a comment? I actually agree with Lois to a certain extent, but my issue is with this, it's $25. I mean, that is just, why don't we write this so that if you have to show up,
It hurts.
why don't you write it so you don't get paid if you don't show up?
I'm okay with that.
Okay, this just seemed like it was a nuisance, that it was done to embarrass someone.
Well then,
And I would agree
okay.
that there should have been, but this is just, I mean, was there a law or something?
Well
that
then,
you
let's
can't-
talk about it when we have our next work session.
Oh, I'm all for
Okay,
it.
let's bring it up because it's not going to affect any of us when we're doing our jobs, will it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
But
I think we should table that and talk to it about our next
It
work
should be really
session.
clear in there,
Yes.
you know.
And I'm with
because-
you. $25 not hurt. Who cares? It's not going to hurt any of
Yeah,
us.
I mean, that was kind of, it was almost like a slap in the face to the city.
I agree with you. Table it, do it at our next work session. I make a motion, we table it until our next work session.
Well, you'd have to get rid of this one anyways.
That's fine, but I think we should table this until we talk about our next, because we can make an amendment to it. So how, could we amend that? Make
You can
changes to it?
amendments. Oh,
The
yeah,
ordinance.
yeah,
So we
yeah.
could make amendments to the ordinance and make changes to it.
Yeah, you could either repeal this one and then enact a new one that
Or
reflects
just
what
make
you're
amendments
saying,
as needed to
or
the
make
previous
amendments
one.
to this one. It's whatever council's prerogative.
My personal choice would do, refill this one and do a whole new one. And just that way we'll make sure that we're in compliance with
Okay.
everything. Because I'm not even sure if we can do that. We have to have council look at that.
So is there, are we able to make an ordinance for that?
You mean that would eliminate somebody being paid
Yes.
for a period?
Or whatever we decide upon?
Yeah, I would have to take a look under the third-class city code. I know with other municipal codes, you can do exactly
Okay.
that. You're paid, your actual payment has and granted, you guys aren't doing any of this for the money. I mean, it
Right,
doesn't-
no, definitely not.
You get paid though based on the number of meetings that you attend, regular meetings, you know,
Right, right.
because there's a standard number of regular meetings. And I would have to see under the third-class city code whether that's permissible, but I don't see why that would be unconstitutional if there are other municipalities and other types of municipalities that have that sort of involvement.
Thank you.
Call the roll.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Chakowski?
Wait, I need to be clear what we're doing. I apologize. So you want to,
We're going to refill it and we're discussing it.
okay. The only problem I have with that, if the new one doesn't come up, for whatever reason, then it's completely gone, so I am totally against that. I would be more so that this motion doesn't proceed until we're going through with the new one. Then that way, that is concrete, everybody knows exactly where it's going to stand, and there is some proof in the pudding that we are sticking by what's out there right now until we either amend, as Mr. Witt said, or we do something different. I would rather see, and I agree with you, Don, that if this said, this motion was here and we were removing it, and right underneath of it was another motion that's saying, this is the steps we're going to do for the new one.
Well, I will guarantee you this time, I will vote. I will make sure that that passes.
I still want to see it in handwriting, I'm sorry. And that's not hurting anybody. Not hurting anybody at all, it's just doing exactly what we say we're going to do.
We have a motion on the floor. Mr. President.
You call the roll, John?
I think John did. Am I the next
Sorry.
person that you asked? I'm sorry.
Aye.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Oh,
Councilman
okay.
Chakowski?
No. Okay, no.
Councilman Cole?
No.
Councilwoman Thomas?
No.
And Councilman Mayor
Yes.
So that was not carried then, correct?
Correct, it failed.
Mr. Solicitor, could you look into that for the next work
Yeah,
session? now?
absolutely.
Thank you.
Next, we have, I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 3 of 2020, the fire and burning ordinance, an ordinance providing for and regulating the use of fires and burning by the establishment of specific regulations, exceptions and definitions, providing for enforcement, prescribing penalties for violations, repealing inconsistent ordinances, and providing for an effective date. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any other questions on the fire and burning ordinance?
No, it's not that one, forget it. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the next one.
No. Call the roll.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Cole?
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Yes.
And Mayor Sherrod?
Yes, motion carries. I'd like to make a motion to approve the downtown parking ordinance number 4 of 2020, an ordinance confirming current on-street parking restrictions, prohibitions, and regulations for portions of Eastgate Avenue, Rebecca Street, Monongahela Street, Fernie Boulevard, 1st Street, 2nd Street, 3rd Street, 4th Street, 5th Street, 6th Street, 7th Street, 8th Street, 10th Street, Miranda Way, Donner Avenue, and Schoonmaker Avenue, establishing 2-hour parking and eliminating metered parking for portions of Oneida Street, 1st Street, 2nd Street, 5th Street, 6th Street, Wendell Ramey Lane, Donner Avenue, and Schoonmaker Avenue, confirming current off-street parking restrictions and regulations for various city parking lots, promulgating general parking regulations and restrictions, and repealing inconsistent ordinances and providing for an effective date. And do I have a second?
Second.
And just to clarify, since we talked about this quite a bit while the public wasn't here, this is essentially eliminating the parking meters downtown, turning all of the current parking metered zones into 2-hour parking during business hours, which would be 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then any other time after that, it would be free parking. The leased parking areas that are currently out there would remain the same. All the no parking zones would also remain the same. And this is also taking like 70 years of parking ordinances and putting it into one ordinance. So that's the summary of this.
In that, what are you guys doing about that parking?
We'll get to that. Any questions on this?
We're just going to address what to do with the meters later, am I correct?
Yeah, that's the next. I think it's the thing. Yeah. We can't take public comment at this time.
I just want to ask a question right here. When you talk about the parking, when you talk about, I go to school, so you there's 2 hours parking. So it's not, would that be considered business? I go to Douglas.
Yeah, I mean, it's for business parking.
Okay, so every 2 hours, make sure I put something in the meter.
No, there won't be any meters any longer.
Okay, well, how would I do that then? 2 hour parking.
We will have to discuss that.
Because I know before they said you can pay for something for a whole month.
Yeah, for
But,
lease.
okay, all right.
I'd be happy to talk to you after if you'd like. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Combs?
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Aye.
Councilman Grigor?
Aye.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Motion carries. I'd like to make a motion to approve the removal of the parking meters based upon the approval of ordinance number 4 of 2020. Is there a second?
Second.
So, upon the removal, what I think, and we had all discussed this before, I think, we obviously have to take them out. So the metal poles that they're seated on, I don't know if Public Works would have any use for any of them. Maybe we could retain some of them if they need them for anything. Scrap the rest of them, recycle the rest of them.
My question to have, you deal with those.
Do you think there'd
How
be?
hard are those things going to get out of there? Hard?
Hard.
In other words, you're not
Probably
going
got
to,
cement inside the pipe, so even if you use the torch, it's gonna be hard.
plus you can't leave them as a tripping hazard for somebody to trip.
It has to be cut flush, or you're gonna have flush. Some of them will rip right out, like put the high lifting chain on them, they'll pull right out, but there's gonna be one. Then you got other issues. I mean, some of the buildings have basements that come out to the street, so if you pull the pole out, what's gonna happen? When I drilled a hole one time, it went into Douglas's basement, so, you know, you gotta,
And then you got to worry about part of the sidewalk and the street curb
coming
coming
up,
up.
you know.
So what do you recommend is the best solution for it?
Just take it one pole at a time, because you're gonna, it's gonna vary. You know, if I know there's a basement there, you're gonna have to cut it off, you can't remove it. So if you remove it, you're opening a hole that's gonna let water in.
So let me ask you a question. And Mayor, I'm sorry, I don't just ask. Would it make more sense to take just the meter off and cap the pole? I mean, that job for you
If
guys
it's
to take
necessary,
the,
if it's necessary.
for that job for you guys to take all the meters off. You'd be doing that full time for a year.
Take a while. It's gonna take a little time. Then you gotta cement the hole. When you pull the hole out, you gotta come up with some sort of either a hydraulic cement or something that's gonna seal it up quickly.
That's a discussion.
Yeah,
That's a
seems like we have to
long-term
really look
project.
into this.
Yeah,
That's
it's not gonna happen in 2 days.
Yeah, that's a long-term project.
But I also think, you know, we could probably sell some of the meters, the ones that were recalibrated, and also some of the older ones, maybe someone needs them for parks, if we could sell them for parks.
Oh, I'm sure the meters can be sold when they come off the top, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the poles that are going to be the problem.
The heads up front right off.
Yeah, but some of those poles are bent over, knocked over on those, and everything else.
I'm gonna say 50% is gonna come out with the trouble, the other 50.
It's only gonna take one to cause your roll call.
They're not in very deep.
Mayor, may I ask a question? Why don't you just cut the pole and then just pour the cement on top of it? That way you won't have to pull the pole completely out. Just
We
cut
might be
it.
able to do that as long as it's not a tripping hazard, like you said.
I mean, it wouldn't be a tripping hazard if you just cut it where the sidewalk and the pole end.
Like I don't
And
know
then
some
just pour the cement on top of it. It's flush.
I don't know if we could grind it down even.
You can
Isn't
use a
it
grind,
metal?
you can use a
Isn't it
grinder on a
metal?
lot of them.
It's a hollow, like
Some
a
of them are
pipe.
gonna have concrete inside the pole.
I think that's something we're gonna have to talk about.
Yeah.
So sufficient way to get it done.
It's possible.
Anything else? Any other discussion? Call the roll. Yep.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Grigor?
Yes.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes, the motion carries. This is the first reading. I'd like to make a motion to present the first reading of ordinance number 5 of 2020, fireworks ordinance, and ordinance establishing the procedure and providing for the promulgation of regulations for the city's issuance of licenses and permits for displays of consumer and display fireworks within the city, including a bond requirement, promulgating certain restrictions regarding fireworks displays and use, providing for penalties for the violation thereof, repealing inconsistent ordinances, and providing for an effective date. Is there a second to approve the first reading?
I'll second, and I have a question.
Yes.
We had discussed at the last meeting, Lois had said something about changing the hours a little bit to be later. Is that, did we get that?
I believe
Yes,
so.
you'll see that.
Just caught it, I looked through, I didn't see it.
I didn't see it the first
I did
time.
read it before I came here, and there was some changes in times. There's 4 holidays, I think, where there is no time limit, and then every other day is till 10 p.m. I believe.
I think we had a time limit for holidays. I think we said 12.
Yeah, we did.
Was it 12? I thought it was.
Midnight
It's fine.
on,
Five.
yeah, midnight on
Yeah.
Memorial Day,
Yeah.
4th of July, Labor Day,
10 to 10.
Juneteenth, Labor Day, Memorial Day, and
Labor
New
Day.
Year's Eve,
New Year's.
10 a.m., 10 p.m. on any other day. Okay, just, I didn't see it when I looked through it.
Oh. Oh, it says and midnight on. Okay. 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 Got it. Got it. Okay. Any other questions on the, oh, and just to clarify, this is updating our 2008 fireworks ordinance. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania changed their fireworks ordinance, I believe in 2017. So this is to make this in compliance with the state's fireworks regulations.
And if someone wanted this, they could come to the city hall and get a copy of that.
Yeah. Or we could email it to you, or,
Okay.
you know, whatever is easiest. Call the roll.
Councilman Grigor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Motion carries. I'd like to make a motion to hire Cheryl Gordon to the position of accounting and payroll clerk. She will be a full-time hourly employee at $16 an hour under the current union contract. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions?
Did she accept?
John, did you ask her yet, or were you waiting until this meeting to reach out to Cheryl?
I hear what you're saying.
To reach out to Cheryl about
Did she accept it, John? Was she offered the position?
Oh, yeah, she was here, I mean, I haven't told her anything, because we haven't voted on it.
Oh, okay.
When we talked to her, she was the board.
I just,
But we told her.
when she says no, all of a sudden.
Well, then.
Well, we'll be back to the drawing board.
We told her at the time, and we told her there.
Oh, okay.
Call the roll.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Grigor?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Motion carries. Motion to advertise for the position of city clerk, salary of $42,000, and this is an at-will position. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Questions?
This is, to be clear, this is just a motion to advertise.
Correct.
Nothing more, nothing less.
Council, to actually hire to fill this position, council will need to entertain a subsequent motion at a future meeting after interviews have been conducted and resumes. So that's the next step of this process. But yes, council will need to actually make a motion to hire at some point if that's council's decision.
Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Grigor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Motion carries. And this next motion is a ratification, but motion to ratify the lifting of the city's March 17th, 2020 emergency declaration effective June 5th, 2020. Is there a second?
Second.
And just to clarify, this is in alignment with the county going green last Friday. This means that obviously you all are here, so the public can come to City Hall again. For City Hall, we're asking for now that people ring the bell during business hours and you'll be let in, just to limit the amount of people that are in at one time. Parks will be reopened as usual. The library is operating under its own guidance from the Commonwealth Libraries, but I believe they are doing curbside service right now. And the Civic Center, it will also be reopened. So all public buildings will be open. And we're still encouraging people to wear masks and social distance and all that. So that's an explanation on
Parks
that.
will be open tomorrow morning, right?
Yes, yeah. All right. Any questions on this?
Councilman Gregor, I do have one question. What is the current under green capacity?
Here?
Anywhere, I guess if you were
Well,
anywhere.
if you abide by the state's rule, depends on the square footage. But then again, they make exceptions for like the meeting here today. If we went by their square footage, we were only allowed 18 people in here.
Including us.
Including us. Now, we contacted Mr. Witt, make sure that we were in compliance, and he said,
Yeah, municipalities, so the guidelines that the Secretary of Health and the governor issued with respect to businesses and all of those requirements, municipalities are actually exempt from being required to follow those requirements with respect to their own facilities. Now, businesses and things like that with state licenses, they still have to do the social distancing requirement, and some places are requiring masks and things like that. They still need to do that, but once again, for the city, we're exempt from those requirements. It's up to you as council to decide what and if any restrictions should be put in place. So you guys have the ability to
Mr. Witt,
navigate that.
you said legal government bodies are exempt.
Municipalities.
Yeah, that's right. So why are we following the edicts of the federal and state government?
Well, this would actually eliminate following any of those requirements anymore with respect to the city and its
No,
facilities.
I mean, why do we bother with this or the 6 feet stuff? If these people are legally exempt, then why are we following Big Brother?
I would guess, that's a question for council. I would guess it's out of concern just for
Yeah.
members of the
First of all,
public.
none of that was proven.
What I will.
I understand.
What I
The
will.
virus is a hoax to bring in a new government.
Can I say something?
What I
Take your
will.
mask off.
Instead of being here till midnight, can these questions please
Yes.
stay until the end?
What I want to say
Let's get
to
through this.
the emergency declaration and the virus, we know of, we had 6 total cases in the last 3 months in Monessen. And everyone has been doing a good job at, keeping safe. From the start, I've said this before, that my concern was especially for our older people. We have a lot of elderly people, and by elderly, I especially mean 80s and 90s, that have serious health concerns that we especially need to protect and make sure that we do what we can. And so everyone has done a really wonderful job. Hopefully things settle down and no spikes happen. We're encouraging everyone to still follow guidance from state and federal agencies as it comes. But this is lifting our emergency order in alignment with the governor's lifting of it. So, call the roll, please.
Councilman Coles?
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Grigor?
Aye.
Councilman Rakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Motion carries. Motion to approve the bond counsel agreement for Jeff Mills of Cozen O'Connor Law Firm and to approve legal services agreement for Tim Witt of Watson Mundorf LLP Law Firm for the USDA project. Is there a second?
Is this for our phase 3 project?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
And Solicitor, do you want to explain?
Yeah, I
why
just
that's
wanted to
needed?
comment, so for the USDA project, this is a large project where there's a sizable grant and loan component. Well, that has to be worked out, but what those allocations are. But in order to do that, one of the requirements is to have these agreements in place. That has to be submitted as part of the packet, as part of the application to USDA in order for them to ultimately review and approve that entire project for the city. So that's why you're seeing that on the agenda today.
So Tim, what's your estimation of the cost for the additional legal services?
So we asked for the USDA's opinion and actually requested a copy of any prior estimates that were submitted. It looked like total cost for everything on about a $20 million project was about $100,000. And total legal expenses between bond counsel and solicitors. And once again, that's not coming from the general fund. I mean, that comes from any bond or grant proceeds. But once again, we wanted to keep it consistent with what the estimates were provided before, just to make sure that there wasn't any change and that wouldn't create a hiccup in the process for approval.
And if I'm correct, this is only to secure legal counsel for the bond which USDA will require.
Yes.
There is still going to be a massive discussion about how much, what, how, if, where it's going to go, the public's going to be involved in it, to have meetings and things of that nature, am I correct?
Yes, that's correct. This is only to adopt and approve one item that's part of the application. There are, I mean, honestly, there's a whole lot of things in that application and in that list that the council will still need to approve and that the public will be invited to offer comments on. So this is just one item of a bunch that you'll be seeing as this project continues to move forward.
And I apologize, I have one more question. Is it time sensitive, date, meaning that we go and do this, I'm going to use a bad analogy, this big massive $100 million project gets kicked down the road to next year, do we have to go and secure bond coverage again? Or is this time sensitive that says, here's our time frame, we need to have these discussions within this time frame, whether they be all over and everywhere, and being that here it is, we don't want to be paying for something twice, as Mr. Greger would want us not to do, which none of us should do.
Yeah. So USDA is requesting that this be done ASAP, as much of this as we can move along as possible, because they only have a limited bucket of funding, and as that funding gets used up, it's gone. So that's why they've encouraged us to move forward with this project, because there's funding currently available that they'd like to see the city get, which is why they're asking for everybody to move on with this. And once again, you'll see other items here in the coming months too, to keep this process moving forward. But they've asked that we get that to them as soon as possible in order to keep that application process.
But because only so many firms can do this type of bonding, do they generally or do they not generally put a time limit on their service? That's my real question.
There's no specific time limit under this agreement for when it's when they would start providing services. So depending on how quickly USDA moves, that's when they would get started with their services under that agreement. And once again, that could be, that's up to USDA in terms of how soon they want to actually give us the green light to go ahead and move on.
Okay. And I just, again, for the public, just so they know what this is pertaining to, this USDA project has been discussed, I think, for over 2 years now. This is for the rehabilitation of the main sewer lines at 12th, 9th, 6th, 3rd and Perenni. Those sewer lines are about 120 years old, and they're made out of brick, and we need to avoid a major collapse. As you know, we've had a couple. There was one on the Mills property a few months ago, and if we get, there's potential that we could get a really devastating collapse. To explain, the line that runs under 9th Street is 70 feet deep. So if it collapsed, it would not be good at all. So the sooner we get this done, the better. But obviously, right now we're at the whim of the USDA, and they like to take their time. So once we get more finalized information from them, then we'll probably have a separate meeting to do a presentation simply on that, because I'm sure there are going to be a lot of questions regarding the USDA project and a lot of explaining with it. So once we get more finalized details, we can do that. But this has been an ongoing thing.
I have a question. How long before that would happen?
Before the project starts?
No, before it just lasts. Do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
It could
like,
happen any day.
seriously, it could happen at any time.
System's collapsing now.
Yeah.
Right.
The,
Like the whole Main Street?
Not,
So
it's,
they go, it's Main Street runs from.
the bricks and stuff are starting to wash out.
yeah,
It's mainly from bar 20 down.
yeah. So from Knox down the hill is the most fragile portion. The bricks are handmade, and it's 100-plus-year-old mortar. So
Why they were working on it a few years ago and just stopped?
no, I think we've done patchwork, but we haven't actually gone in and solidified the whole thing.
Ask a question. Is there any danger of the actual street collapsing?
No, because if you don't mind, I walked up through it one time, and there are large pieces of it missing, but the most it could collapse would be the length of the pipe. So
Is the
the width
sewer
of the
on the
pipe.
side of the street or under the street?
If you go up 9th Street, it'll be on the right-hand side of the concrete side, maybe. And the most it could collapse would be 8 feet, but then it jams up the whole sewer line.
So it would be a health mess and a financial mess and an infrastructure mess. And so hopefully we can avoid that from happening. Call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Thomas,
Yes.
Councilman Gregor,
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cole,
Aye.
Mayor Sherrill.
Yes. Motion carries. Motion to approve the Parkway Emergency Wall Repair Project to be awarded to the lowest responsible bidder, Reynolds Brothers, Inc., based on the unit bid price of $34,800. Is there a second?
Second.
John, did you want to explain, I know you've been working with Tony Vitale on this. Did you want to explain what this is?
The parkway at 4th Street, what has happened is the road has been undermined by water, and the slab has gone down. The water has come under the support wall, and the support wall has cobblestones built in with the cement. They end up in the lady's yard all the time. Right now, if we don't fix it, we'll have a collapse, and they'll have to close that road down altogether. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the concrete wall out. We're going to pressure lift the concrete slab, secure underneath, and then put a new tie-in for the wall. We'll tie it in with rods and tie it into the existing wall. The issue is we're going to fix 12 feet. There's over 100 feet. It would cost over $100,000 to fix one retaining wall. So we're hoping that this one fix will hold, because we actually saw where the water is coming out. If we can channel that water, keep it away from the rest, we may get quite a few years out of the rest of the wall. If we wanted to do it tomorrow, we had $100,000, we'd rip out 100 feet.
May I say something on the retaining wall? I mean, I know that that's a major part of that problem. But even on McMahon Avenue, there's a retaining wall. It is actually broken down. It's connected to my fence. I've seen children go on that fence that the retaining wall is actually leaning over. One of these kids is going to get hurt on that retaining wall. It's right across the street from Union Baptist Church. It's an abandoned house. But that retaining wall is definitely going into the yard, and the kids are climbing on it. They're going to get hurt on that.
It's, John couldn't hear too well. There's a retaining wall across from Union Baptist Church that is leaning. It's an abandoned property,
It's
correct?
abandoned, well, it's not abandoned, well, the person that passed away, and I inquired about the home, and they said something about litigation or something down here, but it's definitely leaning.
So there's a wall across from Union Baptist that is leaning, and kids are going by it, and it's a safety concern. So we could definitely look at it.
Is it on their property?
It's not on my, the fence is connected onto my fence, but it's, how can I put it? It's a wire fence.
Tell them your address.
653 McMahon Avenue.
6:53.
6:53.
We will, can we touch base right after the meeting, and we can take a look at it. Is there any other discussion about the wall from council? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Ricker.
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski.
Yes.
Councilman Coles.
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas.
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod.
Yes. Motion carries. Motion to adopt the City of Monessen Police Accountability and Internal Affairs Policy. The board will consist of 5 members with 4 community members and the mayor. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
And just for some clarification, so this is basically what's the word I'm looking for? A community board to look at any issues regarding the police department. So after the acceptance of this motion, we'll have another motion to advertise for the 4 vacant community positions. So that'll be open to residents to be able to apply to be on this board. Is there any discussion from council on this? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Ricker.
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski.
Yes.
Councilman Coles.
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas.
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod.
Yes. Motion carried. Motion to advertise for the 4 community members on the Police Accountability and Internal Affairs Board. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. On the 4 community members, are there going to be like a 3-year term, a 2-year term, and then
That's a good point, yeah. I
that way
think-
you don't have
Yeah,
a
you wouldn't
wholesale
want to, you wouldn't want to
Yeah.
stagger it by initially have 4-year terms, because there's 4 members, which initial appointments are 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and 4 years between those initial 4. So you will, whenever you appoint, need to designate what term each person would be getting at that point in time, and then continue to track it off from there.
I know this may sound a little off the wall though. So when you get to 4 people and you want to assign terms, could you just kind of reach in a hat and pull out?
You could, yeah, you
Yeah.
could.
Unless someone specifically says,
That would be-
hey, I want to do it, but only for a year. I don't know.
I mean, that would be the fairest way to, I know it sounds a little.
And we haven't even, obviously we just adopted it now, but prior to the meeting over the last week, just from us talking about it last week, I've heard a lot of people reach out saying that they were interested or saying that they are very glad that we're doing it. And I think it's good for us to do it now. We don't have any issues regarding that board would need to act upon right now, and we shouldn't wait until an issue arises to create this board. So given what's been happening, I think it's wise for us to do this. So, but yeah, we can stagger the terms. I didn't even think of that, so.
And you also want to just reiterate that whenever you are selecting people for this board, make sure that you given the sensitivity and the importance of what they're doing, do sufficient background checks and review what their qualifications are and make sure, because a lot of what this board would be doing is confidential, make sure that anybody you appoint understands the nature of that confidentiality and will always look after that.
Any other questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Grigor?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Motion carries. Have the police report for the month of May. $0 in parking meter receipts, $50 in parking fines and forfeits, $175 in parking permits. Total miscellaneous collection, $225. Total receipts from the District Justice Office, $1,098.40. Total receipts collected for May 2020, $1,548.40. The calls for service, total calls for May is 656 calls. The Westmoreland County Department of Public Safety total for May is 788 calls. That brings Monessen's total calls for the year to 2,566. And arrests for May 2020. Total arrests for May 2020, 146, and the year-to-date total is 408. Total miles for the month of May, 7,114, an average of 229.49 miles per day. And that is the police report. Councilwoman Thomas?
Good evening, everyone. The streets report for May 2020. The streets department got garbage twice a week downtown, answered 35 PA1 calls, put up several signs, painted curbs, cut city properties, cold patch roads and alleys, put the boat ramp in, open Eastgate sidewalk, planted flowers at Eastgate Memorial, fixed the slate on planter by City Hall, trimmed several trees throughout the city, fixed several catch basins, and got double yellow lines painted throughout the city. We have a motion to approve a resolution for 7/2020 of the City of Monessen to issue a government obligation to finance a small capital purchase, and I think that is for a street sweeper.
Correct.
Yes.
I will second. There's discussion, questions. Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Aye.
Councilman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Grigor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Motion carries.
Motion and resolution 8/2020 of the City of Monessen to approve and enter into a lease purchase agreement with John Deere Corporation and Murphy Tractor and Equipment Company for a 444L wheel loader.
Second, question. Call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Thomas?
I have a question. I'm sorry, I apologize.
You say?
No, I have a
He has
question.
a question.
Oh.
I second.
My only question is, this is the one where we have it out for 7 years or something? We didn't define,
I believe so.
we didn't define where it's coming out of next year. Okay, there's no payment for the first year.
Correct.
Wasn't it coming out of liquid fuels?
It doesn't say that, I'm just asking that question.
Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
liquid fuel, correct.
That's the intention, but once again, so this year, whoever's on council next year, they would be making a decision about where those funds actually come from as part of the budget process for next year.
Does it have to state, Tim? that
It
it's
would
coming
not,
out?
it would not in this resolution.
Okay.
So, yeah, good question, but it's not required in this resolution.
And there is no payment for 2020 on this.
Grigor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Motion carries.
We have a motion to approve advertising to sell our 2008 street sweeper on Municipal, no cost to the city.
Second, questions?
What do we do if we don't get no bids?
something about it.
I hope so.
I mean, I'm
Plus,
just
you get
curious.
back with the rest of the junk.
I mean, I don't want somebody
Valid
coming and saying,
question.
I'll take it, but you're gonna deliver it for me.
No. No.
Okay, I just,
We don't want to pay to get rid of it.
sometimes you have to. 1-800 jump.
Call the roll, please.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Motion carries.
We have a motion to accept Glenda Vibrakis' resignation from the library board.
Second question, and just to clarify, we did receive her letter back in March, but given all the stuff that had been going on, completely forgot to accept the resignation. And since the library board hadn't been meeting, it hadn't been an issue, but they're going to be meeting again now, so we wanted to get this taken care of. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Coles?
Aye.
Councilman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Motion carries.
We have a motion to advertise for the vacant library board position.
Second question. Call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Motion carries. Councilman Orchakowski.
Thank you, Mayor. Park Department report for May 2020. We've got the city parks and the ball field. Thank you very much. Put signs up at the police station. Put new benches and cubicles in the dugouts at Shawnee Park. And as always, help the streets department. I have a motion to approve a resolution 3/2020 of the city of Monessen to issue a government obligation contract to finance a small capital purchase.
Second.
No, I have a question.
Oh, I thought you were making a motion.
I did.
Sorry.
You're
Yeah,
right.
I said second.
You're fine. Yeah.
Question.
But I had a question.
Yeah. Sorry.
So I jumped the gun for you.
That's okay.
This was, I thought we already approved this.
Yeah, I thought we did too.
So why are we doing this again? We
Yeah,
approved this
we did.
tractor
It was already
sale.
approved.
Resolution on it.
What's that?
I thought we did make a
We
resolution.
did that.
We approved this
Yeah,
already.
this was the arm tractor.
Yeah, it was
Why,
made,
threw
John,
me
that was
off.
made a month ago.
Yeah, it was approved.
That was approved a month and a half ago.
Yeah, that was already
Yeah.
approved.
I'm curious why we're doing it again.
Yeah, it was already approved.
Nothing changed on the terms or
No,
anything.
no.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I
if it was
thought-
approved before, which I know it was discussed, and I'm thinking it was approved as well, then
Yeah,
there
is
wouldn't
this
need to
what
be
we
any action.
approved
Last
at the
month.
special meeting?
No, that was last month.
Okay. I should have it written on it.
I think what might have happened, I think we approved the purchase.
But if we approved the purchase, John, do we have to do what this is?
I don't know, because we set that down to me, and that's why I put it on there.
If we approved the purchase and we didn't approve the funding, is that why this is here, Tim?
I mean, you need
That's
to
what I'm
approve the
thinking.
agreements.
I know we approved the
It
You
purchase.
guys
says-
have this last month,
It
though?
says, motion for the purpose of considering, we had a special meeting, April 27th. It says, we were in a motion for the purpose of considering a capital finance agreement with KS State Bank for the purchase of a John Deere tractor and corresponding resolutions. And we had all the actual information with
Is that the same information as
it.
today?
April 27th.
That
That's
was-
a tracker boom, yeah.
I mean, it's exactly the same.
Yeah,
We have all that information. So
On
we have the
resolution.
agreement and everything.
On resolution 3.
Yeah, we had the agreement and everything.
So if that's the case, I'd like to remove my motion.
I'll remove my second, if that's the case.
Yep.
Yeah, it's exactly the same, 19,164, 19,164.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Councilman Gregor?
Code Office Financial Report. We have application permit 7, animal complaint 1, zoning permit 6, building permits K2 Engineering, 7. Code activity report. Plumbing license for the year, $1,250. Building permits for May, $350.50. Year to date, $1,338. Mercantile machines, year to date, $600. Chicken permits, $25 for the year. Street opening permits for May, $2,000. Year to date, $30,764.33. Magistrate code enforcement was $100 for May. Year to date was $459.26. Sign permits for the year to date, $575. Eat and drink license was $225 for year to date. Health inspection was $375 year to date. Habitation permits for the month of May was $195. Year to date, $2,675. Yard waste pickup was $25 for the month of May. Year to date, $195. Unsewered line usage for May was $288. Year to date, $6,192. Total for May was $2,958.50. Year to date was $44,673.59. The fire report, we had 5 automatic fire alarms, 5 motor vehicle accidents, 3 EMS assists, 1 hazmat, 1 vehicle fire, 2 landing zones, 1 brush fire, 1 natural gas, other incidents 2, smell of smoke 1, and structure fire over in Charleroi. Total runs, we had 25, total responding was 335. The average responding per call, 13.4. Total man hours was 323.5 hours. EMS report, total numbers of calls, 138. Have a motion to sell 1998 GMC truck previously used by the code department. Advertisement has been posted. Sealed bids will be accepted up to 10 a.m. on June 19, 2020. Bid opening at 10 a.m. Friday, June 19, 2020.
Second. Questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Motion carries.
Motion to accept a quotation of $10,000 from Sable Roofing and Construction, Inc. to replace the roof for the Hilltop Fire Station.
Second. Questions?
I just have one question there. When this was presented last week, we had 2 bids. One to patch it, one to fix it. I see we only have one here now to fix it.
Yeah, the motion is on the table to accept the bid to fix the roof in its entirety. For the, I believe it's for the older portion, correct? Donald?
Yeah, it's for the flat portion.
Okay.
This is almost has to be an emergency repair because what's happening is the ceilings and everything are starting to come down in the fire station.
Yeah, that's all.
I know this has been an ongoing problem for at least 6 years, and they've done some patches here and there, but finally it's got to the point we have water pouring into the building, and if we don't get this fixed, we're going to lose the building.
So is this going to have to facilitate the equipment getting taken out while they're doing it because of making sure there's no liability of larger gates and equipment falling through the roof or something?
It's not over truck base.
Oh, it's not?
It's over the bathrooms and meeting room. The
That's
truck
the back
base are
room,
actually
it's
the
in the
big
back.
lines in there. Those roofs are actually pretty good. There's actually 4 different roofs in there.
Oh, I assumed it was just one.
There's 2 different rubber roofs in the back, and a new rubber roof in the addition was put on in '98, and an asbestos flat roof over the truck base.
Call the roll.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Motion carries. Councilman Cole?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, my report is as follows. I'd like to get a motion to approve the transfer of funds from the general fund and payroll and healthcare in the amount of $110,000.
Second. Question? Call the roll.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Motion carries.
Item B, I'm asking for a motion to approve the payment of invoices from general fund in the amount of $197,840.18.
Second. Question?
Does anybody know what U-Comp is? Is that the insurance?
Yeah.
That's the insurance, isn't it?
I'm familiar with it as being unemployment compensation.
Yeah, that's what I'm making sure. Okay.
Thank you.
Call the roll.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Motion carries.
Item C, I'm asking for a motion to approve the payment of invoices for parks in the amount of $30,332.81.
Second. Questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Motion carries.
Item D, I'm asking for a motion to approve the payment of invoices for recreation in the amount of $397,092. Wait, I'm sorry. That's right, item D, right?
Yep.
Motion to approve the payment of invoices for recreation is $397.92. I'm sorry.
That's better.
I'm sorry.
Second. Question? Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Motion carries.
Item E, motion to approve the payment of invoices for line usage in the amount of $16,773.
Second. Question? Call the roll.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Motion carries.
Item F, all invoices due for payment in 2020 are current. Item G, 2019 debt is still pending. The police pension, $227,000. Refuse authority, $138,000. Healthcare insurance, $140,000. Item H, large accounts balance as of the end of May in the general fund is $898,294. Liquid fuels is $245,993. Parks and Recreation is $285,936. That concludes my report.
Thank you.
Mayor, I have a question, please. Thank you. May I ask, what's the balance in the line usage?
John, do you know what the balance is on usage?
We would have missed that.
Line usage, just think it's 45 and 74, about $129,000.
Okay. And does council have any ideas or know, we keep hearing this police pension, refuge authority, and healthcare over. Is there a reason we're not paying at least one of them out of the general fund? Just the general fund? I mean, we can't keep carrying it forever.
I believe we have paid down the refuge authority.
The healthcare insurance concerns me because that would be I'm guessing that's a premium for something. Is that true, John?
The premium is $43,250 a month. and they have given us some leeway for 3 months on payment. So we'll continue to pay 3 months behind.
Okay, so is it that whole total of 140,000?
Yeah. Pardon?
Is it that whole total of 140,000?
Yes.
Do we have a time frame? Do we have to pay that off in time?
We're just going to continue until they basically say, hey, we want more money. I want to make sure we have money there in the general fund for payment for the employees. As long as we can push against that, keep our money, then we have the ability to move either way.
Okay, what about the police pension fund?
Pension fund is going to be a tough one.
I mean, the reason I bring that up is, Mr. Greger has mentioned many times before that in 2019, we didn't pay it on time because we didn't have the money and we paid a fee. I'm sorry, not a fee, we paid a penalty. That same thing is going to happen to us now because it was due in February, I believe, so we're going to pay a penalty there.
Actually, it was due at the end of December 31st, 2019.
So we're still going to pay a penalty. How long do you feel we have to kick that out before we can't pay something to it or pay it?
The 2018 penalty was $18,000, okay? It was late pay again. Now we have 2019, and we're coming close to that $18,000 figure again. So the thing is, if you double that at $36,000 versus liquidating your general fund, then you might be jeopardizing the employee's benefit, the employee payroll. So we're gonna have to take it down a little bit further. And
I understand. My question is, Mr. Witt, that is an obligation that must be paid by state law.
It is an obligation of the city that the city is bound and responsible for.
So we're not going to get away with it no matter what we can, no matter what happens. It doesn't matter. We're going to have to bite the bullet somewhere, and I guess my question for discussion is, it doesn't have to be now, of course, is that we're going to have to bite that, and if that general fund, which will come down as the year goes on because most of the taxes are in, we're not going to have it, and we're going to be damned if we do and damned if we don't.
Looking at what we budgeted for taxes to be collected, we're at about 67% collected. So somewhere in that 33% we're going to have to come up with this money.
I just asked you.
Yeah, it's just
that's about an additional $625,000. So by moving through, well, then we're going to have to pay a few more dollars interest to keep the money in the budget, and then we'll just have to hope that something comes along that, for instance, we'll probably have a gas job where we'll pick up another $70,000. So we're looking for different things to happen that will benefit us. And then we can go in and pay it. We'll probably have an obligation this year again of about $225,000. The thing you have to worry about is next year, right now. With this COVID-19, the reduction in driving miles on our highways in Pennsylvania reduces the amount of taxes that are being paid to the state, and that reduces our liquid fuels next year. And it's probably going to be a 10 to 15% reduction, which means it's going to be $30,000 to $45,000 less coming in next year. So we got to watch the money now as we go into the end of the year and next year. And right now we're really, everything is paid, and for this year, everything for this year's budget, the invoices are all paid. So we're looking at it, and I would, as long as a vendor will allow you to have leeway, pay a bill a month or two from now, I'm going to take that. When it gets tight, then we'll have to see what happens. But right now we're in pretty good standing, and There's a debt carry. It's gonna take some doing to get that paid off.
Thank you.
Open the floor to public comment, general public comment.
I just want to pick up from where John left off. I hope that this council uses prudence. We cannot continue to maintain the status quo where everybody's guaranteed cost of living. The expenses don't go down, but they just keep going up. And what I mean by that, I mean like certain things are fixed and they just keep going up, like the teachers union, they keep going up. The salary keeps going up. Their insurance goes up. Same thing with the police department. We've got so many police. Everything keeps going up. And at the same time, like John pointed out, all these other alternative revenues are going down, okay? So they tell us as citizens, when things get rough, you gotta tighten your belt. So we just can't continue looking at it from one side, where we gotta do everything we can to keep fortifying and keep maintaining the status quo. We gotta change, okay? So I'm just bringing this up because you guys are gonna hit a brick wall, and then next year, millage is gonna go up. I can tell right now. You cannot maintain the people on this side, the public. So what's going on with the government today is that the private sector has to guarantee the livelihoods of the public sector employees. So what we got? We're all working for a privileged group. So you got to keep that in mind whenever you guys are discussing things. And this is where I get upset. Last year there was a big fuss about Matt Sherrill and Gil Coles not being present, and people were talking about, well, they shouldn't get paid this and that. Well, I'm looking at the controller and the treasurer, especially the treasurer because the controller's new. He keeps missing appointments or meetings. So you guys got to step up, and this is where I'm coming off with Lois, that you guys got to start finding them. And if they can't make ends meet, then what's that old cliche? You can't take the heat from, in the kitchen, then get out of the kitchen. They shouldn't be on the council. And you guys are the employers. Okay? If this was done in the private sector, those guys would be out. So I'm just telling you, you got to start exercising prudence. You cannot maintain a special class of people, okay? And then it's always on the burden of the private citizen. You can't do that. And then I want to go back to something else, which Mr. Wood brought up. And I know that because I studied this, that other legal governments are exempt from what the dictates of the federal and state. When I was going to school, we were taught the beauty of America was the local government made its own decisions. And then it goes up to the county, state, the federal. Now, it's this way. Everybody's falling in line, lockstep, whatever the president and the governor says. Okay? And this is ruining, it's bringing down the entire economy. So as long as you guys keep maintaining, we're gonna mimic and we're gonna support what these guys upstairs are telling us what to do. First of all, you're becoming un-American, and number two, you're going to be contributing to the disaster that's coming to America. We are going into a bigger depression than 1929. But it seems like most people got to hit the wall first before they wake up. So I'm just asking you people to be prudent, and you got to start tightening the belts. We cannot live to keep a certain class of people well-to-do. You gotta start redefining things. And when people don't show up, you're gonna penalize them. I'm gonna say this about John. John puts in over 70 hours a week. Okay? And he's on a salary. These people can't even come for a minimum, especially now. This is the first public meeting for 3 months, and they're not here to give their report. So, I think you people gotta start thinking like a private sector employer. Okay? What do companies do with their employees when they don't fulfill their job obligations? So, I just hope you guys start thinking instead of condoning and also like carrying water for the people upstairs. Those people upstairs, they got a different agenda. They lie to us every day on everything, and I'm going to accept them what to do with my life. So I just hope you guys are more into local grassroots instead of trying to please your masters. Your real masters should be the citizens, because that's what America stood for, representation of the public, not representation of the elite or the people with titles. But I could go on and on, but they're
The governor won't put it in the same lockstep like they get along. It's all good. Anyway, Ricky Dick, 420 knots and 100 speed limit. 3 quick things. I wanted to thank the mayor and council for doing something that most people would think of us would never want to do, and that's stopping the parking on First Street by Castle Blood. Citizens stop me all the time and say, wow, they really screwed you over. I'm like, at my request. Because the harassment I was getting from the citizens was just horrible. Chief Mandarino, Chief Smith, Fire Chief Rome, all knew that it was 100% legal to park there, but we had the understanding that we would never park there when we were open, you know, for our selected dates around the year. But the harassment and the nonsense from the citizens in the neighborhood, I really, really appreciate. The signs are lovely, the paint job, the paint job was great, it's all wonderful. Second, it's the first hot day of summer, which means I come looking for, hey, we're gonna have a Halloween parade. You guys need to decide this in August. We can do it later. We can do it last minute this year because of the world. You know, if something happens again and we can't do it this year because of what's going on in the world, then we can't do it. We'll usually come in May. Obviously, we'll push back till August and see what we want to do.
Do you have ideas for proposed dates, just so that we can start thinking about that?
Yeah, I think the last time I talked to you, which was like 3 days before this all came down in March, we were actually talking about, I guess it's the 4th Thursday in October. There's 5 Thursdays in October, I think, this year. It was not the holiday. It was basically the week before you would normally do trick-or-treating and the trunk-or-treat and all that kind of stuff. If council wants it to be the Thursday right then on that weekend, maybe whatever, it's your parade, it's not my parade. Lastly, since I am an event that brings a lot of people to the city and everybody's worried about large groups and stuff like that, just know that we're in constant contact and taking online courses with national and international, the IAPA, which is the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions. What they're recommending, what Disney is recommending, they're the ones that are giving guidance to the Department of Agriculture here in Pennsylvania that is in charge of us, that kind of stuff. We already have plans. 4 different layers of plans that might include masks for customers, might include masks for our cast members, limiting how many people we have a night, the groups that go in, making sure there's longer time between them, making sure the groups themselves are smaller. So there's all kinds of different levels of, again, probably in August, we're going to have to make those final decisions. Also, another thing that we're probably going to do either way, just to make everybody more comfortable, is really upping our timed and reserved time tickets, which means people don't have to come in line. they can just park at St. John's and stay in the damn car until it's ready, and they can just walk right in. So that'll, most of the people are worried about the lines. If you've ever been up to South Park to 100 Acre Manor or anything like that, on a Saturday night, they could have 1,000 people in that queue line. Nobody's gonna want that this year. You can say that it's all cured, everything, nobody's gonna be comfortable with that. So we're certainly trying to obviously help our own liability and be smart about things. But if you guys come up with anything, or I just need to be talking to, I guess, Code and the mayor and the Union Street, about how we do things or the different levels that we're planning on doing, you know, in the next month or two, we'll have that all more solidified. Okay, and feel free if you have any ideas to contact me. So no parking is good. Parade if you want it, and the council has our stuff under control, I think. Thanks.
How do you steer 6 feet apart?
Well, yeah, no, definitely, we're gonna be doing less scares of the traditional type and more of the animated type. And we're gonna have the actors wiping down the sets in between, which is why we're gonna have the extra minute between groups and the whole bit.
I just read today where Hot Con, that somebody in, was it St. Louis, right, somebody did a opening,
Salt Lake City opened. Salt
Yes.
Lake City opened last weekend.
and they said it worked.
Yeah, they did all that. They, their state was, I don't know, Utah, so how many people are there, right? But they did all these kind of things, and they seem to have an okay time. I mean, if we get temporary permission to put tape on the sidewalk, so we have blocks of where each little group can wait, you know, that kind of stuff, we'll do all that. So, as you start hearing about, crowds, and it's gonna be bad, well, we're trying to do what we can do already. All right, thank you.
Sean Bristol, 901 Grant Avenue. I have two things. I think I'm supposed to talk to Ms. Thomas about the streets that's leading up to Park Manor. I feel like it needs to be blacked out.
What is that, Euclid?
Euclid, yeah.
Or someone else? I think aren't they on schedule?
No, but I'm looking for funding for Euclid and a couple other streets. That is the most complained about street
Right,
in the city.
Had a
Wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
I can't afford tires.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, I actually had a pizza driver, when he bought me pizza this weekend, mention Euclid. So
Yeah.
we really need to see what we can do.
From what I understand from the city engineer, the problem with Euclid and why it's so bad is that there was never any proper stormwater drainage put there, so it's basically washing out, which is why there's so many holes in it.
And for two, we need something for these kids, like a building, for somewhere for them to go to. I know I live on 230 Knox Avenue, which is right across the street from Del Rosa's Pizza place, and they always come and sit there, and the owner of the building had a problem with kids sitting there. No complaint from me, but yeah, these kids need somewhere to go. I know with all this COVID-19 stuff, you know, there's not really much you guys can do at this point, but when I feel like, you know, this stuff is all over, you guys really need to get a building. There's a Gaudi building that's right on top of Ninth Street. My grandparents used to work there. It can be used as anything. There can be a gym put in there, there can be classes put in there for different things. And there's a parking lot that's right there, so a basketball court can definitely be put into that building.
You talking about a Broadway?
Yeah. I mean,
I think somebody purchased it. I think somebody purchased that stuff.
Hawk was
Ms. Gary doesn't own it, no?
Hawk
I thought
it's supposed
Dennis
to
Hawk.
be getting money for that, but
Oh, okay.
I feel like you guys need to step in and kind of like help him with that whole process, because it's a nice building. It hasn't been used in years, but I think the only problem was with the building was the HC never worked the leak in that building. So I just feel like that's another thing that you guys need to be put up on speed with. And I know the Civic Center has their issues with that building as well. So I don't know who would be responsible for the buildings for that type of thing. And then the third thing would be the park at Ninth Street. I think you guys need to remodel the basketball court or put flowers, because there's nothing but dirt in that one space by the wall. Or fencing.
We just submitted a grant for 9th Street Park. We'll know in November if we got it, and that includes redoing the basketball court. So, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If no one else has anything, I have something.
Can I say something? Ron Moser, 25 Colonial Drive, Monessen. I've been coming to council meetings now for about 10 years. And I've seen lots of different things going on. I got to hand it to this one. This council this year, the last 6 months has been interesting. Just out of curiosity, the bills that were paid this time, where is the garbage fund in those numbers? Where did we pay the garbage, the refuse bill in these numbers that were approved today?
Yeah, it's towards the top of the list.
It's 197,000?
No. Do you have, you came in late, I think. We handed out this sheet. Do you have this?
No, I don't have that. Well, but it's not really important.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's on this list of lists.
And it was paid, that's one of these bills,
Yes,
numbers was
it's
approved?
listed under the general fund for $50,000. It's 1, 2, 3, it's fourth down from the top.
Okay, cool. So, that fits in well with the budget. I know 7 months ago, there was a budget that was put together by the council at the time. And it's the same kind of thing that's happened for the last 10 years that I've been here, where city council makes the best guess about what money is coming in versus what money's going out. It was circulated and handed out to people in city council and the attendees that were here. But the point being is, it really doesn't seem like we're following any sort of budget insofar as it looks like we bought 3 tractors, a front loader, a street sweeper. That's $500,000 or close to it that we spent. And I sure didn't see that in the budget for last year. Looking at previous budgets, I know that there's some of the people that have been in council that were interesting. Juan Charvelli is an example. He was so tight following that budget that you couldn't buy staples for your stapler without getting a requisition done. He watched every single penny, but yet now we're spending $500,000 on things that definitely weren't in the budget before. And one last comment to make. Earlier this year, I got a phone call from Best Medical. It seems that you went up and talked to those folks at the old Eastgate building that the city used to have. And I don't know what the conversation was or anything.
I never spoke to anybody.
They told me that it was specifically you that talked to them, and this was several months ago. But they called me up and said, we want all the stuff off the top of our building. Well, bear in mind that includes the link to the radios at the boat dock. We have the boat dock, and that was important too because there's been a couple overdoses there, and the cameras were instrumental in saving lives there a couple times. That includes the camera that goes on Parente, which was several accidents that were there, including some shootings that used to take place at the S&H that is no longer there. But the camera's not available anymore either. And that also linked in the Chateau camera, the Chateau, which is a bar that also has had several shootings in it. The point being is, the city is not any safer as a result of that conversation you had with Best Medical. So
I'm not even aware of any conversation about any cameras with Best Medical.
it wasn't about cameras, it was about the building apparently. But
The only thing I ever was asked about the building is they wanted to tell me what they wanted to put in the building. As far as the cameras and everything else, this is news to me.
well, they were very, very upset when they talked to you because they demanded that stuff come off. And I really don't have.
They didn't talk to me about it.
They talked to me. She came to my office and said, what do I have to do to get those cameras off of my building? I said, I have nothing to do with that.
They're your cameras, they're city cameras.
And she said she wanted them off.
Yeah.
So that's where you are.
Anyway, we're safer because of whatever took place. That's all I got. Thank you.
I'd like to say something before we adjourn if I can. And I wrote it down because I wanted to make sure that I said it in a manner that was decent and in order. Before we adjourn tonight's council meeting, I'd just like the residents of the city of Monessen to know what happened at an executive session that was held after last week's work session on Monday, June 1st, 2020. It was for an item on the agenda that could have been addressed during a public session, but was deferred to an executive session. That executive session was nothing but a front to verbally attack Councilman Tony Orzechowski and I, Councilman Lois Thomas. with all cameras off, all residents now gone from the meeting, I was pointed at and told by City Administrator John Harhide that I, along with Joe Delfonso, went to meet with Judge Hathaway of Westmoreland County Court of Common Pleas the day before I was appointed to City Council back in 2018, which was and is a bold-faced lie. I had never personally met nor sat down with any of the judges who were on a Court of Common Pleas at that time. I guess it was hard to believe that I, a relatively unknown in the political sector and an African American, come out victorious over the others who were present. It was bad enough that Mr. Harhide made a false accusation against me, but he then proceeded to talk about my son's personal business in front of all the other council members and solicitor Tim Witt, as if it was his or any of their business. What he thought he was going to accomplish by doing this, I do not know, because my family's private lives have nothing to do with him or my position on City Council. I made it very clear to Mr. Harhide and everyone else in attendance as I stood behind the desk to leave the meeting that never again would I be ever subject to such antics again. These are games that I do not choose to play. Being on City Council is not a game. It is something to be taken very seriously. But the harassment did not stop there. He and the other councilmen proceeded to verbally harass Councilman Orzechowski, stating that he is being investigated for his actions while acting as deputy mayor, which ended up with he and another councilman physically getting up in front of Councilman Orzechowski's face. All this taking place during what was to be an executive session to discuss a pressing matter which took all of 10 minutes. This city needs much prayer. Even if some people think that prayer doesn't work, it does. It changes things. And that is what the city of Monessen needs. Change in capital letters. People to change their way of thinking and their way of doing things. Because it's going to take a whole new way of thinking and a whole new way of doing things to turn the city around. I have been on council for almost 2 years now and have done nothing but try to do my best for the city of Monessen and its residents and to encourage council to come together on one accord for the progress and for the good of Monessen. Not once have I verbally attacked or tried to belittle anyone or their family members, which has no place in council meetings or in life. That is why I was so heartbroken and upset to see the tactics that were used at last week's work session. Instead of putting the matters of the city of Monessen first, others felt that it was more pressing to degrade or ridicule other human beings. As long as things are allowed to continue in this manner, we, the city of Monessen, will not move forward and will continue to be a laughingstock of the Mon Valley and stay in this awful rut that we are in. From this day forward, let it be known, anytime that I feel that I have been subjected to something that I do not deserve, I will make it known to the public. There are those people who tell the NBA basketball players to shut up and dribble. I will not shut up, nor will I be silent. When I see or feel that injustice has been done to me, my family, my friends, or anyone else for that matter, regardless of their race or their color. And I hope there are others in here tonight who feel the same and will do the same in the near future. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Respect you. And that's a shame that that happened to you, a woman. No one should ever come at you like that. Like, that's so disrespectful.
And bring your child into it.
We were called here to take care of the business of the city of Monessen. We were called here to respect one another and work on one accord. Not once, and everybody can say, not once have I ever belittled anyone or brought anybody's personal lives into the city of council business. It has no right to have been brought to that executive session. Solicitor Witt, he called me, he texted me and told me that should have never taken place. And no one, not even you, Mayor, stood up for me and shut that down. Not you, Mr. Greger. No one stood up for me and shut it down. No one.
Say something. We as citizens of Monessen, if the board that runs the city of Monessen can't go ahead and act right,
All right.
who are you to tell us that we have to stand tall, we have to do right? We're not going to. For the simple fact that you want to stand up here, you want to act like clowns, do it on your own agenda. Don't bring it here to us. That should have never disgraceful. Yours are acting like children. Yours are 50 plus. Grow up.
He deserves an apology.
Yeah, she's a
Grow
whole woman
up.
from a man.
This does not make any sense. If somebody will bring my sons into a situation like that, or family members or anything,
Oh, hell.
I will really have a problem. But if you want us to act accordingly and act like citizens and act like, excuse my language, we give a damn about Monessen rockhead joints. Why? It's not hard. You just need to start respecting each other. You just need to start giving respect, and maybe you will get respect.
That's right.
I constantly, every meeting, address respect for one another, treating each other with respect, and yet, that happened to me. The one person who comes here meeting after meeting and says we need to treat each other right, we need to work together as a whole, and that was done to me, and not a single person stood up to address the issue. Not a single one.
I would say something. I think all y'all need to give her an apology, because for that to happen on y'all's time,
Behind closed
but
doors.
behind closed doors.
They waited till the cameras were turned off and the people left. She was at the meeting and
And
the
he
cameras
was
were
at the
on. They
meeting,
waited till I left, the meetings went on. They didn't address that real issue that they supposedly had for executive session. They came at us. And then after we all got done, they decided to talk about the executive session issue, which took about 5-10 minutes.
How do you guys expect to get anything done whenever there's a middle of people in? How do you guys come together?
This is crazy.
How
We're
do you
trying to.
sleep at night? How can you even think that yours are American citizens, especially trying to do something for Monessen, when you just can't even get it together?
We're trying to make a change. Monessen, we're trying to put us on the map right now. This is what this Community Unity Day is about. And if our council can't come together and respect our women or respect each other, how do y'all expect us to come together in these streets? I'm out in these streets. I'm out in these streets protesting. I'm one of the protesters here. I helped organize it. How do you expect us to, anybody, they all see this right now because my supporters are on here. How do you expect us to come together for Community Unity Day or anything if we can't look up to the people we're supposed to look up to in our city?
And I don't even care about race or color.
It's about being a woman.
Right, and I respect you all and always have. It doesn't depend on whether you're a man, a female, or white or black. I respect you for being a person, a human being, because I was raised that way. And I was always taught that we treat others as we expect to be treated. So I've always treated each and every one on this council with due respect and kindness. And what did I get? The total opposite.
You know, this is why I don't even come to these meetings. Last meeting I was at was down at the end of town, East. It was ridiculous. The way they bickered and fought and argued and cussed and wanted to fight. Why act like animals? Yours were not born in barns. Yours were not born descendants of animals or nothing. Yours are human beings.
These are elected positions.
Why? I bet you no one on that board can tell me why you act like that. If I act like that at my job, and I'm getting ready to get promoted as a manager, do you really think that they're going to give it to me? If I belittle my boss, or belittle somebody, or act a doggone fool,
You're being insubordinate.
please, y'all need to stop.
My thing is this, whatever was said could not be substantiated. He made those statements without any proof. Bring the proof. That slander, you can be held liable for it. I'm very upset because that is my family. And I know her, and the woman has never done anything to nobody. Whites as well as black come up to her. She's not just a council member for black people. She's a council for everybody.
Men and women
You
alike.
can't say that John her high.
Unfortunately, this isn't the first time this has happened.
It is sad. When is it going to stop? When is going to happen to make this stop? When is it going to stop? Why hasn't it stopped? And why do you let this continue?
Right.
Hold each other to a certain standard.
When we shut up and don't say anything, we're just as guilty as the other people who are doing wrong.
Yeah.
And for those people who sat here silent and watched it and let it continue and said nothing, I held no respect for you as people. Because when wrong is done to other people, we have to start standing up for what is right and stop all the foolishness that's taking place in this world.
And it's not like she's out there saying, oh, this happened, because I'm gonna tell you what, I didn't know any of this. I'm just now learning about what this woman went through. And when she retaliates, or when she's not, but if somebody retaliates because of the ignorant comments made, then you're just going to go ahead and run and cry what? You can't.
And Lois,
Stop.
I'm sorry I didn't do more, but no sooner was it done from you, I was physically attacked.
It's ridiculous.
Okay? And it's not the first time it's happened multiple times. Okay? And anywhere in this council may not like what I say because I'm very, very, very for the person out there, everybody every day in your tax Taylor Amari, but I got elected. And I will speak my mind if it has to do with what's on this agenda. And everybody should do that. And nobody should ever be oppressed to do that. We're elected officials. But, you know, again, I sent an email out after Lois sent an email out the next day, jumping on what she said and agreeing with her, and I also said, I'm done with this too. And the mayor, you came back and just tried to rip me completely, that you thought it was justified, and I am the problem on council. And you're not the only person that has said that apparently I'm the problem on council. Well, if I'm the problem on council, then my apology is to all of you out there.
May I ask a question? And then I'm going to shut up. And I really would like a response.
Because they don't like to do it.
Yes or no, and that's it. Could you change? Yes or no?
Yes.
Could you, Mr. Harhider, could you change? Could you, Mayor, could you change? Could you, Mr. Tim, could you change?
Mr. Coles.
Mr. Coles, could you change?
If necessary.
See, and that's the problem.
That's the issue.
It's not if necessary. We need to. We've got to. In order to come together, it's not if necessary, maybe I'll think about it, or we'll see. No. Stop. I'm pleading with you. I have children, grandkids that need Monessen. We want to live here. We don't want to live here with this mess. But then whenever we act up, or whenever we go ahead and retaliate on what Trumps have done to this gentleman and this woman, I better not see none of yours in their face. Because I will call you out on it. You don't act like that to your family. You're just supposed to be a family of unity for Monessen. Where's the unity? It's ridiculous.
I would like to say to council,
Oh,
I hope and pray that tonight's meeting, the way it happened, the way it went through, and the way we cracked jokes and did some things, is something that continues on for the rest of the year into next year.
I'm right there with you.
And I have been challenged by some people that don't like what I stand for or don't like what I am and say, all right, Tony, you keep saying it, you've done it a couple times, then you be the better man to turn the cheek. Well, Dawn, I'm the better man to turn the cheek, and Mr. Coles and everything, to move. Ira answered to these people, and I will do that, and I will do whatever it takes to make city council work. That is my obligation to you, to all of you. But, and I'm going to make this a but, and we're on TV, that's fine. I will not stop questioning, challenging, and getting up and making a big deal about something if I feel it's not in the best interest of the citizens of Monessen and I have questions. I have that elected duty right, just like all of us on council.
You can have a healthy debate, you just don't have to argue like kids.
As bad as past councils have been, and I mean not including, and again, it's been said, the prior council. This is not a prior council that's been said many times. This is the current council for the last 2 years. Now, whether 2 people didn't choose to show up, that's water over the dam. We've moved on to 2020, all right? This council, all, Matt, me, Mr. Coles, we all got elected at the same time. So we're all together on all this. We all end next year, our terms are up. We all are up, okay? Mr. Greger, you're still here? Lois is still here, okay? We've got to do better. We owe them to give us 150%. But I'm also not going to take the bullshit that she had to go through. No, I will not, and I will never do it.
This is the last thing I will say about that. I know a lot of people thought I was going to let this be swept under the rug because I don't say much. I've been raised, you're raised and don't say anything to take it. But the Word of God says there's a time and a season to every purpose under the sun. There's a time to speak and a time to not speak. And it definitely is a time to speak. Speak about injustice. Speak about things that are wrong, whether not even because of color. Speak about things that are not right in this world so we can all come together and live in a world that's supposed to be.
Because there was no reason for that.
I'll never get it.
Can the community see that? Can we're trying to come together, can we get an apology for coming at a female? Can the community see that? They're watching. The whole world is watching y'all right now.
Both of them needs an apology. Can I ask a question?
What happened? Nothing.
What happened?
Nothing, they just came at me.
How did
We were supposed to have an executive session, and those came out of his mouth right from the back. It was not for an executive session. That was a front to do this to us behind cameras with cameras turned off and no one in the public eye. I made no comments to anyone. It just happened to me. Mr. Greger, am I telling a lie?
I will not say you're telling a lie.
Mr. Solicitor, am I lying?
No, that's not.
Am I lying, Matt? Am I lying, Tony?
No,
I said no statements. He just automatically came at me. I said nothing.
I will add, though, that the executive session was not a front.
No, but the way that it came, it appeared to me as a front because of what took place. Okay?
Who commissioned
Mr. Harhide.
The one who didn't even answer me. It's like you don't respect women or something.
But I'm done with it. I just wanted to let the world know that this is what happens. This is what happening at our meetings, and it should not be happening. No. We are here for a purpose, to govern the city of Monessen. That's what should take place, not what happened. I said my piece. I'm done with it. I will continue to work with those who are here, and I hope they will continue to do so in a much better fashion than happened last week.
Thank you, Lois.
No apology, huh? We're just asking. The community's asking.
You gonna sit there and stare at her?
All right, well, that's the answer. This is why we can't come together right now as a community.
Motion to adjourn.
He can't hear.
Meeting adjourned at 20 after 9.
No. Look at, wait.
I know. Yes, right. But I got time to drop it.
And you know what said? He even laughed about it after he did it.
I bet he did.
He went over to his desk and laughed at it right in front of Mr. Greger. He didn't laugh, but he stood in front of Mr. Greger and smiled about what he had just done.
That's why change doesn't happen, because some people think in their mind that they're right and they're not.
You didn't laugh. I saw it.
Okay, that's all I got. This is you didn't. This is your elected. This is who y'all elected in. Sam? Sam? She's out the door. See that? But the other guy went and he apologized. What was his name?